Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to Myth Busting Mondays. I hope you guys are excited for today's episode because for the final myth, guys, the final myth is going to be, can you rescue a survivor if every rescue closet has already been opened? So in other words, if we end up going around a map and we end up pre-opening up every single door, does that mean that any survivors that die can no longer respawn? That's what we're going to be testing for the final myth here today. If you guys are excited for that, please drop a like and comment down below if you guys want to have one of your myths featured in next week's episode of Myth Busting Mondays. But yeah, guys, with all that being said, I do hope you end up enjoying this week's episode of Myth Busting Mondays. Myth: can you knock a tank off on the bridge in the parish finale? Alrighty guys, so for myth number 1, this is going to be submitted in by Vader. Now in order to test this myth, guys, we need to end up having an item that gives us the ability to use a knockback effect, which is going to end up being the explosives. This is something that we've done before with a prior myth on the channel, which is going to be, can you knock the witch off the rooftops on No Mercy? And we did the exact same thing with things such as the pipe bomb and also the grenade launcher to gauge whether or not the witch could fall off. Some items worked, some items did not, and we're going to be trying to test those exact same methods here with the tank. So here's going to end up being the main two that you probably care about, which is going to end up being the propane tank and also the pipe bomb. The propane tank does indeed work if you have the tank at the edge of the bridge and you just shoot it. He will end up flinging that direction and fall off the map. Alright, now here comes the pipe bomb attempt. Now the pipe bomb is a lot harder to do because the pipe bomb goes all over the place, whereas with the propane tank you can kind of be a little bit more detailed with where you want to go, just given the fact that the way it is. But with the pipe bomb, if you get it to land just right and explodes in the correct position, you can also indeed knock the tank off. Alrighty guys, so the pipe bomb and the propane tank work. There was a couple of other explosives that we tested, such as the explosive barrels, but those don't spawn naturally on the parish, and then things like the grenade launcher just simply don't work. But at least for these two, I am definitely okay with labeling this myth as confirmed. You can end up knocking a tank off the parish bridge as long as you have select explosives. And with that being said, let's move on to myth number 2. Myth: can a tank rock blow up an explosive barrel? Alrighty guys, the next myth is going to be submitted in by Glabursco. Now the way that we're going to be testing this myth is we're going to be doing this here on the Sacrifice, because the Sacrifice has a lot of naturally spawning explosive barrels. But in addition to the naturally spawning ones, we're just also going to spawn in some of our own. And what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be making a giant mountain of them, and then we're going to spawn in a tank, get him to throw a rock at us, and hopefully we can end up fidgeting around and moving around in the explosive barrel pile we made just enough so that way the tank will miss and end up hitting a barrel instead, possibly triggering an explosion. Alrighty guys, so here is the footage now. So as you guys can see, we have a plethora of explosive barrels, and also at the same time, we also have our tank spawned in. Now the tank was a little bit finicky. It was kind of hard to get him to hit the barrel because he was just strangely really good at hitting us, even though we were flying around with no clip. But as you guys can see, he hits the barrel right there and nothing happens, basically meaning that this myth is busted. So the tank cannot blow up an explosive barrel with his rock, although that would be something cool to have happen and something really awesome and unique to have happen also specifically in versus mode. Myth: does Nom Chomsky do the same amount of melee damage as a gas can or a propane tank? Alrighty guys, myth number 3 is submitted in by Tyler. Now guys, this myth was something that really stumped me, because the results that we got were something that I was not expecting, and I genuinely do mean it. When Tyler, Dan, and I tested this myth, I went into it thinking that I already knew the answer. I thought that because Nom Chomsky was a throwable item, that he would do the same amount of damage as a propane tank or a gasoline tank. I just thought that that was a given. But from our testing, that does not seem to exactly be the case. The term that I would like to use to describe the results that we got were consistently inconsistent. The reason why I say this is because no matter what object that we did, and no matter how many times that we tested it, and no matter where we even hit the zombie on the body, we did not get a conclusive result onto how many hits that takes for any object in the entire game to end up killing a zombie. Now here's the thing, I do know that in a given campaign that zombies, for example, sometimes will fight each other and they can be weakened ahead of time, and so if you go to melee them, they might already end up being low on HP, but these were zombies that we spawned in fresh, so they should not have been damaged by anything at all yet. Plus also, we did not shoot them or end up having where they took like any fall damage. they were just zombies that were completely and utterly unaffected by anything. There was no outside influence other than our own. Now, it would be very easy for me to say, like, oh, I think that this myth is at the very least plausible, because technically, since we can't prove it either way, and I do believe that this is possible, that I should just label it as such. I don't think that that would be a good idea, at least for this specific myth. This particular myth does not end up having a base result. There is no control. There is no legs for this thing to stand on. What we are trying to do with this series is we are trying to take already established things within the game and put a twist on them to see if they can be done in an alternate way. Is there another method to complete the same task? And this myth just has too many unknown factors tied to it where I really am not comfortable with labeling it as anything. But I didn't want to end up excluding this myth from the episode because it's also so uniquely odd. So this is what I want to do. I'm going to give this myth its own unique label that I probably will never use within the series again. For this one time only, I'm going to give this specific myth the label of inconclusive, because this myth doesn't end up having enough information to properly give it a label or a result. The reason why I'm doing this is because I do not want to spread misinformation on claims that I cannot back up. So I think that this would be the best happy solution. If we also do ever get more information to where we can give this myth a proper result, I will keep you guys updated and give you the answer in some type of capacity in the future, but as of the publishing of this video, the myth is currently labeled as inconclusive. Myth: can you trigger a door alarm while someone is lockpicking a door in Back 4 Blood? Alrighty guys, the next myth is going to be submitted in by Nitwit. So basically, Nitwit wants to know, essentially, can you be an asshole inside of Back 4 Blood and end up triggering a door alarm while someone's trying to disable it anyway? So what we're going to be doing is that I'm going to be playing as Carly and find a door that has an alarm on it while we're playing on Nightmare. And I'm going to let the other guys know that I see it, and I'm going to start trying to lockpick it with my toolkit. And then right behind me, Tyler is going to take his gun and shoot at the door before I can finish the animation, seeing if the alarm will still go off, even though I'm halfway through the process already. Alrighty guys, so here is Tyler's perspective. I'm going to lockpick the door any second now, and he's going to shoot his AH-12 at the door, so I'm going to lockpick the door as we speak. And yep, when he shoots it, the alarm goes off immediately. So that means that myth number 4 here is going to end up being confirmed. You can end up indeed setting off an alarm door while someone is lockpicking it. I expected this to happen because this makes the most logical sense, although from a gameplay standpoint, this definitely would make you the most annoying person in the entire lobby. Alrighty guys, so now we're moving on to the final myth, and the final myth is once again going to be, can you rescue a survivor if they have died if every single door on the map or every rescue closet has already been opened? So we're going to be moving on to that now and see if whether or not you can save your teammates. Myth: can you rescue your dead teammates if every door on the map has been opened? Alrighty guys, the final myth of the episode is going to be submitted in by Saturn. Now guys, we're going to be testing this myth specifically on the Dead Center Hotel. The reason why is because this map is vertical and completely covered in doors everywhere. There is a door pretty much like every foot that you walk in this entire place. And I think that this would be the best because that way we get the biggest sample possible. So we're going to open up every single rescue closet and even just any random door that we can find, as long as the door can be opened in the first place, because we're not going to worry about doors that can't be opened to begin with. Once we have done that, we're going to end up killing the bot version of Rochelle, and we're going to walk down the map as normal and see if any of the closets are still going to spawn her in, despite the fact that they're all opened. Now guys, let me ask you something. If this myth ended up being confirmed and you could end up respawning your character without needing a closet to be closed, would the character still spawn in the closet with the door opened, or they spawn in another completely different way? And if they did spawn in a completely different way, what do you personally think it would be? Because we have seen these survivors spawn in slightly different areas that aren't quite closets, such as, for example, like porta potties and a couple of other things. Now, meme lords, it looks like we end up having our final results. So we have gone from the very top of the hotel all the way back down to the very bottom of the hotel where the safe room is, and Rochelle is still nowhere to be seen. Every single door is still open, and we did not defib her or do anything with her character once we killed her. She is just simply not respawned because all the closets are open, which means that this final myth is going to end up being busted. You cannot resurrect or bring back dead teammates when all the closets have already been opened, or the doors for that matter have already been opened in the entire map. The only way at that point to bring them back would be with a defibrillator, but at least now we know. Alrighty guys, so that's going to be it for this week's episode of Myth Busting Mondays, and I do truly hope you guys ended up enjoying it. If you did, please end up smashing that like button, and definitely comment down below if you have your own myth that you would like to have be featured in next week's episode. I read every single comment that you guys submit, and I really would love to see what you guys come up with. But as we wrap things up, guys, I just wanted to mention that if you guys would like to financially support the channel, I would tremendously appreciate if you guys could go check out my Patreon. It's always linked down below in my YouTube video descriptions. Please also use my supporter creator code BlackNinja797 in all caps in the Fortnite and Epic Games item shops, because Epic's my very first sponsor, and they're sponsoring today's video, so shout out to Epic Games. And finally, guys, I just also want to let you know recently that I started a business. It's called Breakthrough Business. With Breakthrough, I'm going to be making multiple different psychology-themed courses on how you guys can end up improving things such as your character, your mental health, and also your relationships. All this additional content is going to be available at mastermind.com, and already within mastermind.com, I have my very first course out for you guys, which is called the Courageous Man Blueprint: How to Achieve Unbreakable Confidence for Young Men. So please check out all that via down below in the description, but I do hope you guys end up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most unique YouTubers we're ever going to see. Thanks for watching, guys. I love all of you, and peace out.
Hey, meme lords, Jesus here, and you better have enjoyed that video there by the eternal god Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too, and give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!